This is my 4-month plan for writing NIH grants. Month 1 is spent hammering out the idea, e.g. the specific aims page. Month 2 is writing the rest of the research plan soup to nuts. Month 3 is sending the grant for outside review and then compiling all of the supplementary documents. And month 4 is spent working with your research office to get the grant submitted and to finalize everything. So here's what happens in month 1. This is when you first conceive of the idea. If you've seen my previous YouTube video on how to write NIH grants, everything is about telling a story and building from both what's already in the literature as well as your previous work. So when you sit down to write an aims page, I like to sit down at either my most creative time of day or at a time of day when I'm completely relaxed in an environment that is beautiful. And just write stream of consciousness, write the background for the idea. Quantify the problem at the top of the aims page. Number 2, articulate what is known and what remains to be known. And number 3, state what you're going to do to find out what remains to be known. When you get to the middle section of your specific aims page, you should articulate your long-term research goal. What is the expansive vision you have for the field? And then articulate the very specific research objective, which you are going to repeat several times throughout the grant proposal. And then write your aims. Write a paragraph at the end articulating how your project is going to have impact on the field. Overall impact in the NIH is defined as having a sustained and powerful impact on the field. So be able to articulate that at the bottom of the aims page. I try to do this in one setting, and then I take that aims page and spend the next month getting feedback, rewriting. By the time I end up with an aims page for a grant proposal, I've written 15 versions. So take that first page, send it out to your collaborators. That could be one group you start with. Send it out to 1 or 2 senior mentors who you really trust. And then the third thing that I always do is I try to have a conversation with the program officer for whom this grant might end up in their portfolio and see if you can get their feedback on the idea itself. Now, the key to writing a good research proposal and getting feedback is knowing what feedback to take and what feedback to leave. I always take the feedback of program officers because they know their portfolios best. When it comes to mentors and collaborators, you have to use your own judgment. You are the expert in your field, so be sure that you know what pieces of advice to take and what pieces of advice to leave so that you're left with a research design that is meaningful to you, that taps into what you know specifically about this area of research, because it is your area of research that you're writing to. So I spend the first month getting feedback, refining, tightening, making sure the language is perfect on that aims page. Because once you have an aims page, you really have a blueprint for the rest of the grant application. And not only that, the aims page is often the most important part of the grant, that and the abstract, because that is what people see first. That is the most distilled down version of your proposal that people can sort of remember. Month 2 is spent writing the entire proposal. So I don't like to spend a lot of time writing different parts of a research plan. So a research plan includes a statement of the significance, a statement of the innovation, and then the overall methodological approach, those 3 components. I like to sit down, block my calendar for a 2-week period if that is possible. Sometimes I do this while on a vacation. Sometimes I do this while just working at a coffee shop for 2 weeks. And again, stream of consciousness. Just try to write as much of the research plan as you can without looking up references, without too much consultation with other people, because the extent to which you can write it in a short period of time means that the research plan is going to be tight. If you write it in a short amount of time, you're going to cross all of your T's and dot all of your I's, and the proposal is really going to hang together. It's going to make sense. Once you've spent that 2 weeks, and this is in month 2, then you can go back, insert some references, get methodological consultation, fill in parts of the proposal that you weren't sure about, that you need more help with, pull in specifics from preliminary data that maybe you didn't remember exactly when you were writing stream of consciousness, and all of that happens in month 2. Month 2 is spent refining the research proposal. During month 3, at the very beginning of month 3 of this writing process, you are going to send out the full proposal for review, and you're going to send it to 2 types of people. Number 1, you're going to send it to your collaborators on the grant, and you're going to give them a 2-week turnaround to get feedback. And then I highly recommend you pay an outside reviewer, either with content expertise or review expertise. And you can use money from your department. You can ask for money from your department. You can use money from your faculty startup funds for this. I usually pay reviewers about $500. And sometimes they won't take the money, but you can certainly offer it. Send the grant out for external review. Give people 2 weeks to turn around. And in those 2 weeks, when you've sent the proposal out, that's when you can make a decision to just breathe and relax for 2 weeks, catch up on all your other work. But then spend the next 2 weeks in month 3 doing all of the supplemental pieces of the grant. So if it's an NIH grant, it's a human subject section, inclusion reports, it is facilities pages, and you really only need a couple of weeks to pull all that stuff together. It will help that you would have written a draft of the entire proposal because it will inform those other supplemental documents. So that's month 3. In month 4, you're going to get all of your feedback from your outside reviewers. You're going to spend a week rewriting the application, another week tightening all the supplemental documents, and the beginning of month 4, you're going to be working with your research office to make sure that they have everything they need. Now, let me back up. The most important things that you need to communicate to your research office earlier than month 4 are budget and subcontracts. So in month 2, you will have figured out who your research team is going to be and start communicating that information to your grants office so that they can pull all of those contractual agreements together. If you need letters of support from the community, start getting those letters in month 2 itself. That way, when you hit month 4, you're really refining the application, pulling together any missing pieces. And that is my 4-month plan for writing NIH grants.